So, let's say you are a PHP developer and it's been a while since you worked with a different language and you think maybe you should learn something new. Okay, if you're one of these people, I would recommend to learn Python. The reason is that syntax wise, Python is very close to PHP. Okay, the syntax itself is very similar. So when you transition, okay, so that's point number one. If you transition from PHP to Python, it's gonna be very easy to transition. Obviously, there's other things that you need to learn, but the transition, you won't be like, oh, this is something completely different. It looks different, I don't understand what this is and all that stuff. It's very close to PHP. That's one thing. Okay, if you're a PHP developer, try to transition to Python. The second big point is that us as PHP developers, we don't get to deal with a lot of data very often. Okay, PHP developer, it works well with APIs, and other stuff. It works well with most of the things, but generally speaking, when it comes to a lot of big data, when you're dealing with huge data, huge files, CSV files, survey data, and big data, just a lot of data in the database or in different file systems. If you're dealing with that, a lot of the company prefer using Python. Okay, so we as PHP developer don't get to experience that as PHP developers. We're very specific to building websites. Yes, the backend of the website can have something really complicated and dealing with data, but most of the time we don't get to experience that. So learning Python does um, kind of force you to work with data because that's what a lot of people use it for. Okay, um, that's another thing. It'll just make you a better developer. Then you have a lot of libraries as well. Python, when you want to work with big data, Python itself offers a lot of good libraries. So you can use a lot of these libraries in Python as well, along with working with big data. Then another thing of learning Python is that once you add that to your CV, um, you'll just become a lot more visible to recruiters. There's so many recruiters, so many companies who have systems built in PHP, and they want people who understand PHP and Python because they want to transition some of their um, some parts of their system into Python. They want to rebuild that system, or I don't know, maybe they want to kind of um, turn that project or code base into a microservice or something like that. So you obviously they need Python developer um, because that's what they have decided to do. And if you have that on your CV, you just become a lot more. Um, you know, People want to talk to you. People want to hire you compared to PHP developers. Compared to someone who only knows PHP, Python is used everywhere anyway. But yeah, but a lot of the companies when they transition from PHP to Python, they want someone who knows Python. Plus, there's a lot of tools. There are a lot of internal things that Python does way better than PHP. And if you know Python, then it gets easier, to get hired in that company. Then obviously you have all these machine learning stuff and all that stuff that's going on a lot. You don't need to be expert in machine learning, but if you can interact with APIs here and there, feed it the data, understand the basics, then and Python, then you'll be fine. You'll be better off than people who just know PHP, if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to transition from PHP to something else. And then lastly, it's a backend language as well. I know in Django you can build front end and all that, but mainly Python is a backend language. It's mainly Python is like a lot of scripts running here and there, and yeah, it's very close to what we do in PHP. So if you are a PHP developer, you wanna learn something new, and you don't wanna, kind of you don't want to force yourself to learn something completely different, then Python is your language. Give it a go. Honestly, give it a go, and just try to just go to GitHub or something and try to find out the stuff that you can do in Python. Like just Google cool libraries in Python, and you'll see the amount of stuff that you can do. There's a lot of packages, a lot of libraries in Python. Yeah, and they're really helpful. A lot of times what happens is that we'll build something in PHP, and then in PHP we can't find a library to do certain things, and then we'll spin up another server or something like that, service elsewhere, and then it'll act like a microservice. Yeah, you will interact with that through API, and then you let Python do that job instead of doing it in PHP. Once the Python is done, and then it'll return the data, or I don't know, connect to the database. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of times that's what ends up happening. You have PHP, fine, it works completely fine, but for that one particular thing, you end up using Python, and it's really helpful to know.